The VC Love Train has stopped here, and I want to give thanks for that to Mr. Platypus9, I believe. But even more importantly, I would like to extend my sympathies to you, Marty, Mr. Platypus. You did share with me that you just lost your mother. And my condolences and sympathies to you and your family. Bless you. Thank you, on the other hand, for sending me the wonderful music. Marty didn't send me vinyl. He sent me some music from Poland. Marek Belinsky and another CD, the orchestra of something. I'm playing it now, so I can't tell you, but really appreciate receiving this music. He sent me the graphics through email, but the package that he sent it in is pretty unique. He sent him in a mailer that he made out of an album cover. I went ahead and obscured our addresses so I could show it to you. But if I turn it up like this, you can see, or some of you can see, it's the cover to a Herb Alpert and the Tijuana Brass album. Here on the back, you see it. You know, it's neat the way he cut it and he taped it, and the CDs were inside of it like that. Pretty cool. I'm listening to the Belinsky and the orchestra right now. I love it. There's a lilting, there's an ambience to it, but there's also this, lilt comes to mind, the way that it's moving. It's not folk, but it's somewhere in there between ambient, modern, contemporary, and this lilting kind of folk feel. I really like it a lot. I haven't played this one yet, the Marek Belinsky. I will be making covers for these since you sent me the graphics. Thank you so much, Marty. God bless you. Don't know what else to say. I want to talk a little bit, and I'm going to stay positive, okay? I'm just not going to let little stuff get me down. Last night, Nick and Sam were over. We were checking out Sam, who is in Indrima. He's with us in Indrima. Also has his own band, Captain Coup. Conrad, who is back. So good to see you, Conrad. Last year, I don't know if you remember, Conrad, but one of your vinyl updates, you showed where you bought a Captain Coup album. I just love that. You know, you had no idea those were friends of mine, and it's just a kick when I see people listening to my music, listening to my friends' music, seeing that we're in the industry. We're real musicians. We're real artists. Our music is out there and people are buying it. I'm going to get to this in an upcoming update. I want to give it a nice review. It's coming out on vinyl. I'll buy it on vinyl. I do like this. I do. But we were rapping a little bit about the vinyl community, and you know, one of the first things that comes to people's minds is when they come across something organic like this, they want to organize it, or they want to make something like it happen. And I kept explaining how the vinyl community is just what it is. It's not organized. And I think if someone tried to organize it, it would go away. It would disappear. We're here, and we call ourselves community voluntarily. We do these videos, and we interact with each other, and we give each other stuff voluntarily. That's the beauty of it. We're here because we want to. No one's making us, and we can leave when we want to. I think it's so fantastic because it's worldwide and it's real. It's a real community. I'm excited about the prospect that I can actually talk about music here, and it has an impact. You know, however small, it really does. The fact that I can share with you, you know, my involvement with the band Icky Blossoms. They're about to come out. You know, last year I just went to Record Store Day. This year, my friends have a Record Store Day release coming out. How cool is that? Maybe me eventually, you know what I'm saying? Maybe not, but still, just being a part of the Icky Blossoms camp and watching it as it goes is very exciting. Very exciting. I want to muse until I can't remember what it is I want to talk about. I want to talk about Johnny Griffin for a minute too, Anders. In a second. But I want to just thank everyone for honoring me when you make the videos, telling me about your reaction to Dereck 3. It's fabulous because you're all honest. You know, obviously, when you make a record, you can't please everyone. And when you do something, someone will wonder, why did he do this? And others will say, I really like that. The feedback is fantastic. It's much better than the old days of sending your records out for free to reviewers, hoping you don't get your ass put in a sling by someone who maybe didn't really listen. I was sharing that with Nick and Sam. I used to be a record reviewer for Option magazine. Any of you folks remember that magazine out of Oregon? I did reviews for them. And it's a chore. It is a job. And a lot of reviewers cheat. What reviewers will do is they'll do cursory listens. They'll look on the internet or they'll look at other publications for cheat information, or you can call it that, or just a little help because they don't have the time to absorb things. A lot of times they don't read the lyrics, which of course artists who write lyrics want that the most. And so this direct VC involvement with sharing my music and getting direct feedback is the best, and I think it's revolutionary. I think it's the cutting edge, and I think I hope I don't regret my words, but I think more artists ought to get smart and start accessing us directly, the VC. I think it's going to happen. I know that my friends are going to. We pay attention to each other because we're in this for the love of the music and the art. And so it's just badass. VC rules. VC rules. It's also neat seeing who bought the record to see who is who, because there are so many of you that many of you I don't really know who you are. Sam Hazel, when you bought it and showed it, oh, that's who you are. Nick Sloan, I see who that is now. You know what I'm saying? For example, Vinylated. I didn't quite get that together. That's who you were. And you're also in the music business, road managing. That's awesome. So just want to muse about that. The vinyl community is powerful and cool, and it's natural and organic and just needs to be what it is. There's no point in trying to organize it or to encapsulate it. It's flowing and free, and it's the best like that. It's best. I'm just so proud and happy that I found you all. So glad I found you all. Also glad to see Dan in Canada and in action. Yeah, it had been about a month. I noticed, Dan. I don't always watch your videos all the way through, but I always watch just to get some of your mojo. Seriously. Same with Mr. Hall of Fame. Mr. Hall of Fame, where you at? You must be on a trip or doing something. I really want to hear what you think. Did the record come intact? Stefan 73, I'm hoping. I know that when I sent yours out, when I think back on it, yours might be another package where I didn't get it right, and let me know if I jacked up. I heard from one other person whose record came damaged, and I've learned a lesson. And the lesson is this, and this is no slight to Jeff, but I always tell exactly what happened. Jeff gave me some boxes to send records out in. Some of those boxes were compromised because they'd been used a few times. I wasn't thinking about that when I boxed the records up. I wasn't. I've learned a lot now. You know, you take care and make sure the corners are tight and protected. Those inner flats are essential. So I have another record that I'm replacing. I told the person that I'll absorb the cost. It's a painful lesson, but it's one that I have to learn. I will say this publicly. Since you guys know my situation, I don't know what my future is financially. I think I'm going to be okay. But if you just want to contribute to me, you know what I'm saying? If you just want to send money to me so that I can live and do my thing, you can, okay? Same place, PayPal, dvhiggins@cox.net. I'm going to be real open about that. If you want to contribute to me being able to be an artist, do it, please, especially if you have the money to spare, because I'm realizing that some of you folks that watch me around the world, some of you folks are sitting fat. Some of you other people are like me, you're poor, or you're in between. I appreciate your love, And I'm going to say it up front. If some of you folks got it to give, I need it. And you'll be rewarded for it, you know, with my music. So, Anders is, all the reviews are fantastic. Dwayne Lazarus brought me to tears. Anders just put this big smile on my face because, you know, as a musician, I can tell that you really sat down and listened to it like a musician would, which means the world to me. You proved it by homing in on one of my personal favorite songs that I've ever written. No one else has noticed it. Shows that you're a real musician. Number 3 on side 1. So glad to see you. You homed in on it, Anders. I wrote that song originally back in the 80s, as well as Morning I Rise. Both of those compositions go back to the 80s, people. I wrote those when I was in the band Digital Sex. They could have been Digital Sex songs. They never got finished. But So Glad to See You and Morning I Rise are very special and important pieces of music to me. So glad that you heard it. So glad. But you wanted me to talk about Johnny Griffin. I'll share what I can because memories are piecemeal. My dad was born in Paducah, Kentucky, but he was raised in Chicago. Consequently, going to DuSable High School, he became friends with Johnny Griffin, Red Holloway, Cannonball Adderley, and a bunch of other names that I don't know. He was also good friends with T-Bone Walker. But Red Holloway and Johnny Griffin were like the brothers he didn't have. And I know this because of what my dad told me. My dad was an only child. He was light-skinned and had red hair. When he was a small boy, he could pass for white. Red Holloway was called Red like my dad. My dad's nickname was Red too. They were both light-skinned black kids with freckles and red hair. Johnny Griffin was just a touch darker than my dad, but also had the same kind of complexion, kind of light, had freckles. And he didn't have red hair, but Johnny looked like my dad. Matter of fact, my grandma used to joke about, I remember this stuff. See, it's coming back to me. Stephanie, maybe you remember some of this too. She joked about Johnny was this other kid she had out in the alley. And Johnny was really nice to me. Some of the jazz musicians, I'm always going to include everything, the bitter with the sweet. Some of the jazz musicians were really dicks, real fuckers, you know, were actually abusive. Johnny was one that I remember who was really nice. John Coltrane stands out. I bet you some of you all still can't believe that. Yeah, John Coltrane was in my house as a little boy. I sat on his lap. It's the truth. Johnny Griffin was nice because when I was real small, around 4 and 5, which I do remember, he never failed to always have a piece of candy for me, my older sister, and my older brother, Stephanie. I remember him from Chicago. Stephanie, can you remember? You ought to remember better from Chicago because you're older than me. Johnny always had candy for us. I remember one time that Johnny had this little toy. It was yellow. I don't know what it was. It was either a little duck or a little truck. It was mostly yellow, but Johnny gave it to me. I tore that thing up right away, you know, but it was from Uncle Johnny. I remember that. I remember a couple of times back when we lived on 1207 Pierce Street. Stephanie, do you remember Johnny coming through town? I remember he came through town one time. I don't know what he was doing, but he spent a better part of the day with us. I remember him spending time focusing on us kids. He liked us, you know. And I remember calling him Uncle Johnny. But I also remember watching him and my dad practice together. They'd play horns together. My dad was very good. He was conflicted, which is why he's not famous. I mean, he was as good as Johnny or any of those guys. And I'd watch them battle, you know what I'm saying, back and forth. And then he'd do it, and he'd do it, and he'd do it, and they push each other. This is so wonderful, these memories, it's like they're unfolding in my mind. The most recent contact I had with Johnny was by phone. Johnny lived in Germany, and my brother and I, we got a hold of his phone number through another musician friend of ours, Gary Foster. I mentioned him several times. He's a drummer, producer. Preston Love is another jazz musician from Omaha who made a name for himself playing with Count Basie, among others. Preston Love is on the first Mothers of Invention album. He's in the credits, that big list of people who contributed. Preston Love's name is in there. He's on the album. Anyway, Gary produced Preston Love. Gary knew Johnny Otis, all these guys. And he knew about the connection to Johnny Griffin. So because of his expertise like Anders, I wish you two could meet. You would vibe so heavy. You're both experts, big time in jazz. He provided myself and my brother with Johnny Griffin's most current contact information. And so my brother came over one day. This was within the last, again, I'm not good with chronology. It was here in this house, right here, called him at this desk, probably within the last 5 to 6 years, or within a year of his death is when we called him and got him on the phone. He didn't remember me or Patrick. He remembered our dad. Obviously, he was a little cautious at first, in the phone, and you could hear it, like, what do you want? Completely understandable. Here are these strangers out of my past, all of a sudden trying to get a hold of me. What do they want? It was so beautiful to just, put him at ease and just say, we just want to say hello. We remember you. I just want to say hi, Uncle Johnny. And when I said it like that, I could hear in his voice that, he softened up, and he said, I wish I could remember you, son. That was the last contact we had. He remembered my dad Red very well, warmly. And once we got to talking and he realized we weren't trying to get some money out of him, like most fuckers, we just wanted contact. It was beautiful. So I had contact with Johnny Griffin within a year of his death, and he died within the last, I'd have to look it up, sometime in the 2000s. That's what I can share about Johnny with you, Anders. One more for you. My brother, I could tell you the story. I don't remember. Miles Davis scored smack through my dad in Omaha. One of the times he played here in Omaha at Allen's Showcase. Miles came to the house to do this. I probably remember Miles, but Miles, as you know, looked like a damn reptile. He was probably one of those scary, and I won't say the N-word. I don't mean it negatively like a racist does. I mean it like a black person familiarly. That scary, dark ass, you know what I'm saying? Probably just scared me, which is why I don't remember him. Excuse me. But my dad had some amazing jam sessions where they would go all night, and it would be like the house is about to come off the top. The roof is about to come off the top of the house. And these were major jazz players. I don't remember who they are, but if I could, it would blow our minds, you know what I'm saying? Major players, Like I said, he was buddies with Cannonball. Dexter Gordon was a friend of my dad's. Dizzy Gillespie and Ella Fitzgerald knew my dad. Mind-blowing, actually, when I think about this stuff. I'm sitting here struggling. What is the rest that I wanted to say? There's more. I always got something to say. I'll stop here and come back maybe with more. I think the last general thing I'll say is I get comments. I will not call the persons out. It's more than one. I get comments that it might be me being sensitive, but I don't think so. I'm pretty perceptive. I get these little comments every now and then where it seems like this person or these people who don't know me are trying to kind of flip me some shit. And I don't know why. I think I do, but it doesn't bother me because I understand human behavior. Whatever your issue is and you're trying to reflect it back through me, I don't own it. I don't know why you're giving me grief. I haven't done nothing to you. Yeah, why try to give me anything negative at all? intelligent, and I always put it like, oh, here it is. Okay, I'm going to finish out. Yeah, it came back to me. Last night, while hanging out with Nick and Sam, we got to talking about popular culture and stuff, and they love hip hop because that's their, their generation. And Nick wanted me to see the latest Odd Future video. I forget the name of the song, but I watched it, and it was hilarious. But it also made me think about my orientation, and I want to try to explain one more time to those. Maybe none of you care. I want to try to explain myself. You know how I've said recently in a video about people's beliefs that we act upon what we believe? Well, I'm a perfect example of it. Me being all altruistic, or rather trying to stay in remembrance of my values, excuse me, and wanting to be nice to people and honor them and wishing that more people would be nice, it's because that's what I was taught. And so it's in my orientation to think that it's in our best interest to try to be cognizant and aware of our actions and the effect they have on others. And this just isn't going to happen because it's just not the way it is. As I was watching the Odd Future video, which is just hilarious and over the top, just all kinds of crazy stuff, it's very sexual, very crazy. But what it made me realize is I'm watching this is this generation's way of saying this to their parents. And what we're seeing is how it's just a continuation of what started generations ago, probably back in the 30s and 40s, especially in the 50s. Rock and roll was the youth, the rebellious music of youth. Hip hop is the same, and what it is that because of the extremity of life, the kickback to the mainstream is always going to be that much more extreme. As I watched the video, it came in, okay, this is today's punk rock. This is kids telling their parents to eat shit. Fuck you. We reject. It's so funny. It's like, these are the kids of the punk rockers that I hung out with. These are their kids telling the punk rock parents, you guys are fucked. And this is how they're doing it. And this is how it has to be. It really does. Now, I'm not saying I'm throwing in the towel and saying I'm just going to go with it and be rank and fucked up and valueless like everybody else. But I'm going to take a chill pill for the time being, realizing that this is just the state of modern culture. It kind of has to be like this. There will not be a turnaround. We will always be sliding in the direction of more extreme, screaming out at it, fighting against it, and it will not be the overall effect on society, and people won't be good. I guess that's the main thing that I'm always talking about. It's like, it's always really enraged me that people will say that popular culture, what we choose to entertain ourselves with, has no consequence. That is, boy, how stupid can you be? And that's my whole point. Don't stupidly tell me that what we're being entertained by has no consequence. There's a big consequence. One is the fact that we choose to entertain ourselves with tragedy and murder and rape and stuff. We've just taught ourselves how to do it worse and worse. It all, we just up the envelope. Some of you, again, I know that some of you folks will completely disagree with me and say that's not true. I say it is at least partially true, if not fully. That what I just said, the influence on human behavior, I know it's partially true. I see the evidence of it in the world daily. But again, the point I wanted to try to get out is, now that I'm separate from being a social worker, where I'm constantly having to deal with the bad effects of the social climate that we live in, I'm going to relax and try to enjoy some more of it. Somebody else that's really whack, in my opinion, but entertaining when it comes to hip hop, is Die Antwoord. Have you seen those guys? Where are they from? South Africa? The white couple, they're crazy. Just see, that stuff is so loony. That's what real life is to me. Pardon me. Pardon me. I hate that, but I got to do it. Clear my sinus. So those were some of my thoughts that I wanted to share. I could go on. I'm searching for where I wanted to go. There was more I wanted to say, but it's not victimless, folks. Okay, it's not victimless. You know, the rock and roll that is always been so sexual. The way it's sex. You know what I'm saying. I'll stop. Okay.